As always, I begin this session, this practice, with closing my eyes and centering myself, connecting with a deeper, more expansive state of awareness. And recently, I've been combining some preparation, some intention of a topic, along with the flowing, inspired dialogue that emerges from this deeper place of insight and wisdom. My intention is not just to speak from the analytical mind, but from a balanced perspective of intellect and intuition. I'm somebody that believes that there is more to us than our physical body. There's many ways that can be described. There's many spiritual traditions, esoteric practices. Any attempt to describe these things is an analytical approach. As soon as we give something a name, we are putting it in a box and dissecting it from something else. However, it's very difficult to communicate ideas and convey meaning without some dissection, without some labeling and generalizing. Yet, what I think is something that is useful in balancing that tendency to be weighted in the intellect and dissecting the world in an attempt to understand it is the realization that that is a construct and that reality is much more nuanced. The themes that I tend to talk about that are important and relevant to me are those of consciousness and the fact that we experience the world through our subjective experience. Even our attempts at empiricism, objective reality, are still subjective. Even our instrumentation and our methodologies are biased. It's impossible to have no bias. The only objective reality that can be known would require omniscient perspective, a perspective that takes into account every single nuanced perspective and piece of information. One would need to be everything and everywhere to be able to assess reality completely. I think this is the philosophical baseline that we really need to adopt. We do adopt it in some degrees in conscious communication, where we say, this is my perspective on this. There have been some attempts to frame statements and own one's experience when expressing an idea a desire, and we even celebrate that invention and creativity. The topic that I'm wanting to talk about today can be put in a simple term of embodiment as activism. There's a lot of desire to be participating in the world right now as far as activism goes, protesting, and there's a lot of upset, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of fear, and it also seems like it's compressed into a narrow band of physical protest, where there's a lot of conflict and there's a lot of even physical violence and upset emotions. And I actually don't see that really doing much. It seems to maybe cause more conflict and harm. But something that makes more sense to me is what I'm calling embodied activism. And I don't know if that's the best description, the best term for it, but it's what I'm using right now. I have experienced many times where I feel so overwhelmed by the world that I want to just escape it all. And I think many people, when faced with the difficulties of the world and the conflicts and the challenges, they just want to tune out. They don't know what to do, and they just distract themselves. It's draining. It's draining to have one's attention pulled in all these different directions that we can't do anything about. But for me, this idea of embodied activism, it means that where we start is where we are. It's with our presence. And that embodiment means that our mind and our body are working together. They're harmonized. And so that when we're doing that, we're being mindful that we're not getting caught up in thoughts that are outside of our capacity to respond to them. So things that are going on far away, we're not letting those take much of our energy. If we're actually presented with choices, do I send money to this place or something like that, then fine. But in most cases, we're not actually making choices relevant to those things that are happening far away. However, on a daily basis, we are making many choices about our own life. And those choices end up having a much bigger impact than we may realize. I think it is important to look at things from a bigger picture and not just be myopic about it. But when we're looking at it from the bigger picture, that's when faith, that's when spiritual practice, that's when mysticism can help us. because that's all about getting in touch with a broader perspective that can help us contextualize things. One of my favorite philosophical approaches to reality is Taoism. I believe Taoists and Taoist teachings show us how to live in a world of seeming contrast and juxtaposition, of good and bad, right and wrong, conflict between these different elements. Taoists actually don't see this division. They see only the oneness of the Tao, and that everything else is relative. Its definition is relative. There's no separation, only balance. Okay, so this is from the Tao Te Ching, which is a Taoist text. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Therefore, being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy complete each other. Long and short contrast each other. High and low rest upon each other. Voice and sound harmonize each other. Front and back follow one another. So everything is connected and everything is relative. As soon as we describe something, it's because there's silent comparison occurring. Hot only has its definition in it not being cold or being different from being cold. And there's an infinite number of nuances between, of subtle gradations between hot and cold. It's really only this projected assessment. And it seems to me in the world right now, we are really struggling with this concept of nuance and subjective experience. Right? When we're talking about what is a man, what is a woman, all these things, especially when we're talking about this constructed idea, these gender roles, and the performative part, not the biological part. So this is a big mess. And the reason it's a mess is because people are confused about reality and about how individuals construct their reality and finding agreement in it all. I believe that we don't really need to have agreement, and it's very difficult actually to have perfect agreement on things because we're never going to see it the same way somebody else does. So how do we move forward? These agreements are based on relationship. Relationship is agreement and context, contracts of thought. When we are embodied, we are living our values. We're living our thoughts. We're congruent within ourselves. We're truthful in our word and our action. And I believe the way we do that is by aligning with ourselves, making sure we're taking the time to be congruent within ourselves. The only way that that really happens is through mindfulness. That means taking the time to really know ourselves, really sit with our own thoughts, our own subtle awareness, and tuning to that. In meditation, in quiet contemplation, there's a congruence that happens. There is an aligning that happens. If we think about going to a party, let's say, we go to a party, maybe we feel a bit insecure. There's a variety of people there that we know in varying degrees. We might have a conversation with this person, and if we're not really secure in ourselves, we might have a tendency to try and align ourselves with what we think they want to hear and see, right? They're telling us about their affinity to a certain political party, and we might de-emphasize the things we disagree with and emphasize the things we agree with. We want to be liked, we want to be likable, and then we move on, talk to somebody else, and again we shift. This is incongruent. This is not a good way to be. It's a bad habit. And in my opinion, this is somebody who doesn't know themselves and actually are living an inauthentic life and behaving in a cowardly way. This person is not going to like themselves because of that incongruency. And other people that see this and observe this are not going to like them either. They're not going to trust them. And so that person is going to have difficulty with relationships. In addition to Taoism, I also look to astrology for guidance because I believe that there's great wisdom there. And so in studying my own chart, I've observed that Saturn plays a key role. And when we understand Saturn, and we understand the sign that it rules, which is Capricorn, which I also have emphasized in my chart, I have Capricorn rising. I see and I understand through studying astrology and Saturn and Capricorn, that the force of Saturn and the traits of Capricorn are about integrity. They're about discipline and self-discipline. When we don't have self-discipline, meaning we don't structure our own life intentionally, the universe will implement that and will seem to oppress us. So this can be seen as a Jungian concept of individuation or maturity, growing into maturity. It's instead of being a victim or a powerless child where authority figures are telling us what to do, when to wake up, when to go to bed, how to behave. Instead, we are taking that responsibility on and we're taking that power of Saturn into ourselves. It's not outside, now it's inside. We set the tone. We create the structure. And this is very important. This is us having the integrity. It's up to every single person to formulate their own reality. That embodiment, and that then the translation of that is the activism. So you're congruent with your morality, your thoughts, who you are, and you're manifesting and you're portraying that in the world. This to me is far superior to political affiliation where you get to vote once a year and you wave a flag. That doesn't change things, in my opinion. But owning your truth and demonstrating it daily in your words and your actions, your behavior, that has way more effect. I think embodiment is also about bridging this spiritual and physical, inner and outer, mind and body. It's bringing these things together, which Taoism would also affirm is the goal, is to have this harmonization. So there's not incongruency within us. We are living our spiritual values, and we're infused with this broader perspective. All of the things that we think that spirituality gives us, a benevolence, any of the things we might think are waiting for us in heaven, that embodiment is about bringing those into manifestation, bringing heaven on earth, and being the change you want to see in the world. This is very supported by Taoism, and the archetype of Capricorn is all about hard work that culminates in spiritual mastery and worldly mastery as well. With Capricorn, they're essentially the same thing. That physical mastery is also spiritual mastery. But it comes through hard work and discipline. And it really is about the structure, the integrity, the trueness, meaning not bending and swaying, but being, when you go to that party, maintaining your self, being the same with every person, no matter what is popular or what is unpopular. And not allowing fear to cause us to deviate from our path. So this is really the fusion of spirituality and physicality. It seems too often we're dividing these things. There's the spiritual people, and here's the materialists. And that if you're focused in the world, that makes you not spiritual. That if you want to be spiritual, you have to give up things of the world. And also, some people that are doing a lot of spiritual practices end up quite disembodied and airy-fairy and ungrounded and kind of schizophrenic, which is, I think, what can happen if we aren't balanced. It's really this balanced, this centered, disciplined focus, I believe, is the true path of success in both worlds. This is the real goal. And that actually spirituality comes through this physical discipline. Not by not by giving up anything, but by integrating and harmonizing everything that seems to be separate. So I think a lot of people can understand this. I think it's a fundamental truth. So when we open to it, we will see that it is accurate. And again, I don't think that it's just through intellectual analysis that we really do integrate this. It's through quiet contemplation. That introspection and quiet contemplation is what gels all these seeming disparate elements together. Our psyche is able to harmonize these things. In fact, it's an imperative within the psyche to do that. It has a natural healing function. The subconscious is protective, and it's always trying to bring us into harmony and integration. However, it has to keep up with this constant stream of input that the conscious mind is feeding it. And most people don't take a break from this onslaught of news and information that is often upsetting, and there's a focus on judgment. So we really need to de-emphasize gathering as much information as we can and looking at the world from a judgmental perspective. It's only really when we need to take action, that we need to do something, that discernment is important. Otherwise, we should practice letting go of the things that we can't control, that we're not being asked to make a decision about. When we do want to make a decision, we should have previously practiced coming into a deeper state of awareness, a more expanded state of consciousness, and then tuning into that wisdom and asking ourselves, what action should I take on this? Should I take any action? And what should I do? I guarantee you that will give you a much better result than trying to calculate what you should do based on what the TV gave you, what the information that's floating around on social media gave you. Your intuition and your insight, which is a harmonization of all of your faculties, has the best answer for you. An embodied approach, a holistic activation. And that will feel very satisfying when you're acting from that place, that inspired action, that place of wisdom. You will feel really a lot more sure of yourself, and the results will be much more satisfying. I found it quite interesting to really take a break from trying to fix and do a lot of things, and instead just step back and take more time to relax, to find peace, to find my center. It's interesting because we're programmed through fear to constantly be busy, and that mostly is our mind racing and being quite inefficient in that. And what I've observed in myself is there's a lot of painful stories that keep circulating in my mind that are like little jabs trying to provoke me to be preemptive so that I don't get hurt again or I don't mess up again. But these are outworn and outdated ideas. They're really a response to trauma that was a misassessment of the original impulse. As I take the time to tune into that wiser part of myself, I get insight that helps me to let go of those past things, all of the shoulds. And I settle into this place of peacefulness where I realize it's okay that I do nothing for 20 minutes. It's okay that I don't go to the party. It's okay that I take a day off. It's okay that I don't get anything done today other than tuning in to myself, just taking care of myself. But how do I know how to take care of myself if I don't really listen? Some people have these kind of habits that might feel like are comfortable, but really they're just distractions. And initially it can be uncomfortable to just sit and be self-aware. But that's because we've avoided it for so long. And it's like a room that we've not cleaned for a while. But I assure you that even if you just go into that room for 5 minutes a day, you just pick up one thing, you just tidy one little thing, you just incrementally, day by day, work at it. That room will become your favorite room. And you'll want to spend time in it like it's a temple. Like it's your personal space. It's your core of embodiment and a touchstone for who you are. When you know that place within yourself, that embodiment, it's natural then to express that because there's some pride in it. There's a feeling of enthusiasm. When you know yourself and you are comfortable in your own skin, you're comfortable in your own ideas, there's an ease, there's an effortlessness, and things just flow. You don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to try and figure out, what does this person want me to say? You just do you. And that, again, is very Taoist. There's a Taoist concept called Wu Wei, and it means empty force. So or also effortless effort. It's being aligned with nature, just like a river flowing. There's no pushing, there's just allowing. And in this allowing, we can be beyond the binary, beyond black and white, good and bad. We can flow wherever feels authentic. And do it with integrity. Do it with truthfulness. Personally, I think this is the way to be. And it's not just an analytical assessment, it's because I've lived it. I've lived the inauthentic place where I'm feeling very insecure and second-guessing myself and feeling tortured about so many things that I can't control. And out of that torture, I realized that I needed to let go of things and find some peace. So I've learned that that practice is just so incredibly important to me. It's more important than what other people think of me. And it allows me to be in tune with my own nature and want to participate in the world. And I think that's key. Want to live. Even though it's not perfect, it's far from perfect, but it is in our judgment of it that causes us to suffer. Judgment of ourselves as well. But if we know ourselves, if we are at peace with ourselves, then it's easy to let go of the world. We don't take it so personally. So I hope that makes sense. Thanks for watching.